Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be trying to show you the difference in performance between an 8GB and a 16GB graphics card. I apologize for the beeping, my smoke detector's chirping at me. I've changed the battery twice. I think the detector is what needs to be changed out, but anyways, if you'll bear with that. The way that I've achieved this is that I'm just using Blender, and I have filled up the VRAM with some images that are being rendered in there, but it's not taking up very much of the GPU's utilization. In fact, OBS is taking up far more of it. But what I've simulated here is about 9 gigs worth of VRAM in use, which is fairly close to what you would expect. 1 extra gig for your driver. Drivers are typically a little bit smaller than that, but I'd call this close enough for our purposes here. So I'm going to test it in a couple of games with the 8 gig version versus our full 16, and a couple of different resolutions, and we're going to see what kind of a difference that makes. Alright, the first game that we're testing is Fallout 4. We are in 4K, so we're going to see what kind of FPS we can expect out of an 8 gig card for 4K. Of course, this test isn't quite perfect because typically an 8 gig card isn't going to have as powerful as of a processing chip as a 16 gig card, but short of just buying another card that's 8 gigs from the factory, I think this is about as close as we can get. Alright, so I'm going to run around a little bit. I'll mute my mic so you don't have to hear the smoke detector.
Take care of it. I'm glad I could help.
Oh, you have no idea what a relief this is. I can't thank you enough.
Goodbye.
Alright, I pulled up Task Manager to see how much VRAM is being used. Looks like Fallout 4 is using up another 4 gigs of VRAM. So, looks like Fallout 4 is going to run just fine on an 8 gig card. Alright, the next game that we'll be testing is Fallout 76. I have some graphical mods installed for this, so it should be a little bit more demanding for our VRAM, so let's see what kind of a difference it makes. Well, it looks like thus far our frame rate's not quite nearly as stable. Because if you look at our 99th percentile FPS, that's kind of jumping all over the place. So when it drops, it really drops.
This is an emergency broadcast
Alright,
to
well,
all
as you can see
citizens.
here,
A severe
Getting
hailstorm
quite a
is
bit of
approaching.
stutter. This is a
Damage to
bit
crops
of a
and
bigger
property
city
is
that I've built
expected.
here, but
We urge citizens to stay inside until the storm has
it
passed.
looks to me like maybe we're having a bit of a VRAM limitation here. Alright, next we're going to be playing CS2, which admittedly I have never played before, but we are going to see. See, I told you. I'm terrible at this. Oh, no. Right, so our FPS is around 140 most of the time. We got 1% lows down in the low 70s, looks like. Oh, there we got 67, so high 60s. I mean, it's very playable, considering this is 4K, very high settings with 8 gigs of VRAM. This is fine. Alright, looks like we're utilizing almost all of our VRAM. Perhaps when we're running around and turning quarters really quick. Right, well, I was planning on doing this in different resolutions, but honestly I don't think we even have to. I think that 8 gigs was just fine for 4K, so we're just going to jump right in with our full 16 and see the difference in performance. Alright, we are back in Fallout 4. Let's run around a little bit. Get an average of 60 FPS, 99% lows of 55, 56, 57 there. Again, you know, perfectly playable. FPS slowed down a little bit there when I was shooting. Oh, there it goes again, 48. Overall, it's not that different from last time, I'd say. So, Fallout 4 is just not a very VRAM demanding game. Alright, now we're testing Fallout 76. Got Cooper Howard here for whatever reason. I mean, our frame pacing isn't very stable, but I think that's just more an issue with Bethesda's jank rather than our amount of VRAM. The scene's about the same as before, once again. Let's try the next game. Alright, we are back with CS2. Smoke detector chirp.
Let us go.
Our FPS is still sitting about the same as it was before. I'm a little bit surprised by that. Alright, well, in conclusion, I'd say that the amount of VRAM you have, if the difference is between 8 gigs and 16 gigs, doesn't matter nearly as much as just the overall performance of your GPU core. If you're gaming on an older graphics card, you could give it 16 gigs and I don't think it would make much of a difference for you. It's just how much that chip can handle. So if your choices are between a 5060 or a 5070 and the sole decision behind why you would buy one is how much VRAM it has, I think that you should just look into the raw performance of the card rather than just the VRAM that says is on the box. Anyways, I hope you found this video informative and helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.